This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. This is Python's Paradise, your film and music show, and this is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, today we're going to walk hard because my guest is double great for the both of us. Yes, I have the wonderful Chip Hormess on the phone with me today. How you do, Chip?
I'm doing great, Greg. How's it going with you?
Well, I'm hoping the weather calms down. We got a storm starting to brew out there, but other than that, we're good.
Yep, I get it. Upstate New York just got hit last night, so.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we got about 12 inches through the night, so it's a bit messy, but it's cleared up now. We're fine.
Yeah, hope ours clears up soon.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if I could get a little bit of your background, like, because I don't think you're into acting anymore, are you?
No, I'm not. When I was about 14, 15-year-old, is when I stopped acting, and my family and I, we moved to Florida. At the time, my dad's sister was under threat of breast cancer. She's fine now. She made it through.
That's good.
But my dad wanted to be closer to her, and during the time, I was just going through some things where I didn't really agree with what was going on in the acting business. So I was fine to leave it and start a change down in Florida.
Okay. Well, you know what? A lot of people leave acting and they find their talents better used elsewhere. And, it sounds to me like you've utilized that. You mind me asking what you're doing with yourself lately?
Lately, I'm really involved in a church up here. It's actually the reason I came up here was a Bible college.
Oh, nice.
I met my now wife.
Okay.
And we're married. We have a couple kids. And currently I'm just working at a reclaimed lumber mill called Pioneer Millworks. And
okay.
So I run a machine that turns reclaimed old barns and fences into flooring and paneling and whatnot. It's gotten me into woodworking, and then I serve in my church a lot, and they do a lot of charity work anytime there's a major disaster like the hurricanes we've had lately and all the devastating storms and wildfires. They'll send a team to help out, help them rebuild and recover.
I was baptized back in 1988. I'm Christian as well, so I think that's fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, great to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really involved there, helping a pastor in the Bible college. Every now and then there's little things that come up, little dramatizations. Sometimes I'll, play in those or act in those. Since I still kind of got that in me, but I just lost interest with Hollywood due to some of my convictions and some of the things they let go on.
Yeah. What's sad though is I really do not like pure flicks, so their movies aren't exactly.
I'll agree with that. A lot of the pure flicks or the Christian films, it's they're not too good.
No.
And to be quite honest with you, I'd rather just watch a movie like the Marvel movies or stuff like that.
Or Walk Hard.
Yeah, than something that tries to imitate the Bible and just gets it wrong or.
Yeah.
Kind of a sketchy area to walk into, but. One thing I did respect about the cast for Walk Hard is as I was, I believe, 11 years old at the time during, like I told you before, I actually, all the scenes Jonah Hill portrayed, I actually, they made a scene where I was the one instead of Jonah Hill. And so one of them where there was a sex scene, they did ask if I wanted to stay out of it so I didn't have to, be involved or see anything as a kid, which I could appreciate, especially in the acting business, giving
Yep.
and an option like that. So.
You know, it's interesting because you're the second person who became Jonah Hill I've interviewed. I had Casey Margolis on here from Superbad, who was the younger version of Jonah Hill in that movie, and now you're the younger version of Jonah Hill's ghost in Walk Hard.
Right. Yeah, that's hilarious.
I'm going to interview everybody that grows to be Jonah Hill, but I won't interview Jonah Hill.
Oh, you never know. Maybe you'll get a chance.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, that got a huge laugh in the theater when you transformed into Jonah Hill.
Yeah, I bet. Same for me when I was in the premiere. It was just, cliche, but hilarious.
Well, that line where he says, "Ever try to masturbate with a ghost hand?" Nothing! Totally Jonah Hill. like That got a big laugh, and of course it's totally Jonah Hill.
Right, yeah, that's him.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you, I loved Walk Hard, and of course I've seen all these music biopics like Walk the Line and Ray and all those, and those were great movies, but I think Walk Hard is so underappreciated, and I would love to see people discover it, because I play the soundtrack on my show when I get the chance, and I thought the movie, rather than just be a parody, I loved the fact that they created their own character and came up with all this stuff. I mean, even the uncut long version is really good. I think this movie had a lot more creativity in it than just your standard parody.
Oh yeah. There was a lot of thought that went into it. And honestly, working with John C. Reilly was one of the highlights in my acting career. He was just such a well-to-do man, and surprising his singing talent, and just the general good attitude he'd bring onto the set. I think is really what kind of brought it together for the film. He's a very talented actor.
Yeah, and being able to play 13 years old, so convincingly. Oh, I love that shot. Has all the kids that goes, "We're my 13-year-old boy," and John C. Reilly turns around. And I love I know what they were making fun of there. All these teen movies where you can tell everybody's an adult, but they're playing teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, John C. Reilly clearly doesn't look anything like a teenager, but man, I think that Dewey Cox is, in my opinion, the best I've seen John C. Reilly. And he's done a lot of great performances in a lot of various other movies. But when I think John C. Reilly, I think Dewey Cox.
Yeah, I agree. I think him being able to have such a major leading role instead of, being like a supporting comedian, just he really did a great job. He did outstanding. That was one of the things of how I got the role, is the final audition for the movie. Is they had a couple of the kids come back, and John C. Reilly was actually in the room to go over the lines, and so I was going over the script with him, and the script ends. That should be the end of the audition, but he went on. He started improvising, and I was able to improv off of that. But just his genius mind and being able to just carry it on and bring humor and light into it was really just outstanding for him.
Yes, and I love the soundtrack. The song "Walk Hard." I love "Guilty" as guilt. Oh, jeepers, "Guilty." Oh, gee, why am I not thinking the name of that song? It's my favorite song in the album too. And then there's of course "Let's Duet."
Oh yeah.
Boy, is that song suggestive?
Right, yeah.
But I got the soundtrack album, and I love it. And like I said, I think there was so much went into this movie to make it more than just your standard parody. And Jake Kazan, of course, directed this, and I think this is maybe the best thing I've seen him do. And he's done a lot of good films, but this, to me, I think is masterwork. What was it like working with him?
Oh, with Jake, he was a very kind gentleman. He's very patient, very clear about what he wanted and what he wanted portrayed. And once we would go through and do it that way, then he'd tweak it a little bit, say, no, let's try it this way now, or okay, that was good, but I want to move a little more in this direction. Let's try it like that. So he seemed to have a clear idea of what he wanted, and once he saw it played out, if he didn't see it coming together, then he'd have us try it a different way or go at it from a different angle. And so it was really great working with him, having him just be upfront and honest, and working with us to bring it together to what it is now.
Yes, and of course, you're in the majorly in the first part of the film now. Of course, all these music biopics have this tragedy that happens, that inflicts them either physically or mentally throughout the rest of their life, and something they have to struggle through. And of course, at the beginning of Walk Hard, you got you play, of course, Nate, the older brother of Dewey. And, of course, you're the one with all the talent. And I love it that it shows you at the piano, your hands going up and down like you... Was you told to exaggerate that?
They, no, what they did is they got someone who could actually play the piano, and they had my hands with his hands and put some makeup so that way our hands would look similar.
Okay.
And they had him play, and so any of the shots with the hands is actually a pianist playing, and then any shots of me is just me there imitating whatever he did, so it looks like I'm moving. But yeah, that's how they pulled off that shot.
You look like you're really getting into that performance.
Yeah. I did my best.
Yeah, I loved it. I'm sorry, I forget the name of the actor who played young Dewey.
Oh, you know what? It's a shame. I can't remember his name either. There was a different actor when we first started for young Dewey, and I can't remember. Something just didn't work out. I don't know if they just didn't like the way he was acting or if there was something going on, but he ended up offset, and they hired the other one who plays in the movie as young Dewey. Yeah, well, I love that line. You guys get to go play, and I love that you go, ain't nothing bad gonna happen today. Of course. Right. And you guys go through you guys are just reckless, picking up rattlesnakes and tantalizing the bull and going on the tractor and racing through. And oh man, the bull. I ran without a bull behind me, and then they had a stunt man actually with the bull. But me and young Dewey were in the barn shooting a scene, and out of nowhere on the radio we hear, "The bull is loose! The bull is loose!" So the bull had jumped over the fence and was now running loose on the set because we were at a farm when we were shooting this.
Oh.
And so they hurried us up to the top of the barn. We were climbing up the ladder, and they might have in the extras, I can't remember, but the bull was trying to go after one of the vans and was like ramming at that, and then finally someone was able to wrangle the bull and get it. But there was a scare on set there when that guy got out.
Yeah. And of course you guys, and I love you guys, settle on having a machete fight. And out of everything, every dangerous thing you guys do, this is the one thing young Dewey says, I don't think Pa wants us playing with the machetes. Yeah, everything else is fine.
Right, yeah, no, all of it was great.
So you guys have your little clash, and I thought this was brilliant because to pull this off, because I mean, losing a child is tragic, but boy, it was pulled off well in Walk Hard. You know, the thing comes off the machete, and you have yours raised above your head, and he swings it, and you just hear that noise, like that machete went through you, but it doesn't show it. And you just hear the thunk, and I love that double take of the donkey, you know? So there you are, there on the ground, your top half and your pants are standing up in the air. I love that image. But I love that. Goes, Dewey, I'm halved. He goes,
Yep.
and then you go, you go, Dewey, I'm cut up pretty bad. Like, yeah, no kidding. In case I don't make it, you'll have to be double great for the both of us, which is something that runs rampant through the movie. Is Dewey trying to measure up to Nate, and
right.
I love it there that when he runs off to get Pa, there your pants just fall over. You're like, oh shit. Talk about shooting that scene, because it takes a lot to make that funny, and it did.
Right. So, you know, obviously we did the shots of us sword playing with it sheathed, and then, you know, a separate shot of me just acting faces as I was getting cut in half. Then they had to dig a hole and bury my bottom half, so that way it was just my top half showing up, and then, you know, they made the fake legs there and had a little string to control it for when it was time to fall down. But yeah, I was buried. Half of me was buried for probably an hour while we were shooting that, and I mean, it was great. I loved it. It was hilarious to be able to be a part of that. And, you know, just especially as a kid, it was fun.
I love the following scene. The doctor comes out of the room and goes, "This is the worst case of somebody being cut in half I've seen." Like, when's it not a bad case?
Right. What, long ways be better for you?
I love that. But, I mean, you got Raymond Barry there. He goes, "Speak English, doctor." And he goes, "I'm sorry, he didn't make it." Of course, Margo Martindale there gets all hysteric, and she's good at that. And I love it. Raymond Barry as Pa Cox turns to Dewey, goes, "This is all your fault, Dewey Cox." And,
yep.
And then Margo goes, "It wasn't his fault." He goes, I love it. He just turns around. He goes, "He cut him in half with a machete." And he turns to Dewey. He goes, "You're not half the boy Nate was. You're not half the boy the top half of Nate was before you cut him in half." And Dewey's like, "You mean I'm not even quarter the boy Nate was?" And then the random line through the whole thing by Raymond Barry, "The wrong kid died." I thought that was hilarious. Raymond Barry is so good in this movie, and I heard that when he got the script, he didn't quite get it. That's what I heard through the grapevine, but boy, did he play it so well, being that father we see in all these music biopics that disapproves of their son and or has hopes for the other kid, you know. And of course, in this case, you know, all through the movie, it's like, the wrong kid died.
Right. Yeah.
And I love that the conclusion. "It's all very clear to me now." And where things start reversing back.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like working with Raymond Barry?
Oh, it was nice. You know, didn't get to work with him too much, but you know, very, very talented and you know, great acting skills. But you know, as a kid, I was more having fun with young Dewey at that point. So we really connected and had fun together. But it was great working with him.
Any memories of Margo Martindale?
You know, I couldn't think of any. You know, I think we. You know, we talked a little bit, had some had some fun together on set, but for the most part, got back to our trailers, and us kids had schoolwork to do still, and then we would, go off and have fun together if we had time before the next scene to shoot, or whatever was going on for the rest of the day.
Yeah, and of course, the big affliction for Dewey is that he goes smell blind, which makes no sense.
Right, none at all.
I love that. I love that. Huh?
The movie, the big reveal, like towards the middle of the movie, when he can finally smell again.
Yeah, I love that. Margo Martindale says, "You learned how to play the guitar, and not even with a sense of smell, like that has anything to do with it."
Yeah.
And he goes, "I learned to play by ear, Ma." Yeah.
Yeah.
So many great lines in this movie.
Line.
Yeah. But no, great cast in this movie. Of course, Jenna Fisher playing, of course, the one of two love interests.
Right. Yeah, and she was great on set too. She was really kind. Being able to work with her, and she was so talented. Very, very patient, but she was. I enjoyed working with her as well.
Yes.
She was on set.
Yeah, and Kristen Wiig. Kristen Wiig, I gotta say, she got some major laughs in this movie. I love that line where Dewey is being kicked out of the house, and Kristen Wiig goes, "You hear that? I'm Dewey Cox's 12-year-old girlfriend."
Oh, yep.
She looks it too. Yep, she looks it too. Did you have any interactions with Kristen Wiig?
No.
No.
I didn't have any interactions with her. And I think the only reason I did with Jenna is, like I said, I did have scenes where I was in it instead of Jonah Hill, so I was in those parts where she was at certain times. So I got to see her. I got to see Jack Black as well for like the day he was there. But yeah, that was how I was able to work with Jenna.
Oh, what was it like meeting Jack Black?
Oh, it was great. He's worked so much with kids, so he was just a hoot, having fun. It was just for a little bit, but he was such a great guy. I had a lot of fun with him. It was a blast.
It's interesting because none of them looked like the Beatles, let alone Jack Black being Paul McCartney.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is where Dewey ends up getting married for the second time, but does not divorce his first wife. And Kristen Wiig shows up at the hotel.
Oh, yeah.
And he's stuck in the middle of this, and he both women walk out on him, and I think one of my very favorite lines in the movie is where Kristen he says to Kristen Wiig, he goes, "You tell me you never done nothing wrong." She goes, "What have I ever done to you, Dewey?" And he goes, "Well, about the time you woke up in the middle of the night and you drank up all the milk, and when I woke up the next day to have my cornflakes, there was none left." And she goes, you got married. You got married again, Dewey." He goes, Okay, I'm blah blah blah, but you could drink up all the milk. That's fine." I love the simplicity of that argument.
Right. Yeah.
And
it's just this theme of simplicity, but.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, and of course, when he sings that song "Guilty as Charged," of course, I love the fact with the music. They go through all kinds of music, from punk rock to country, whatever, and
Yeah.
he tries to transcend everything. But one of the things I thought was really hilarious in this movie was where he had to go to rehab. Now, every one of these biopics, they got to go to rehab. And of course, he's stuck there in rehab. He goes, I'm too cold. And then the nurse comes in there and goes, hey, we need more blankets. He goes, more blankets. And then he goes, I'm too hot. And he goes, he needs fewer blankets. And then it's like, I'm hot and cold at the same time. And the nurse is like, he's too hot. And no, he needs less blankets and more blankets. The doctor's like, you're right. I know I'm reminiscing a lot here, but I just had a great time with this movie. I think it's I think more people should see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely it was fun to work on set, and the cast were all fun, hilarious. I learned goofy songs with John C. Reilly, and had a great time with him and with the director and all of them. It was definitely memorable.
Did you meet the rest of the band, like Tim Meadows and Chris Parnell and Matt Besser?
I met some of them, but didn't get to really work with them. Any of the scenes where I was there was mainly just with John C. Reilly alone. So I think I met them on set a couple times, but I never actually got to hang out with them and get to know them or anything.
Well, they had a great ensemble in this movie. Charles Robinson, of course, misses his big break because of Dewey. And I love that whole way they wrote this in. Where you shouldn't have punched out your landlord while you had your laryngitis. They took care of that easy.
Yeah.
But Harold Ramis is featured in this movie, and of course Harold Ramis no longer with us, but of course he's directed a lot of classic comedies, from Caddyshack to National Lampoon's Vacation to Groundhog Day, and Analyze This and various others. Did you get to see him at all?
I didn't get to see him much either.
No.
A little bit, but Jake was the one who was hands-on, and everyone else that I saw and worked with was mainly, just them one-on-one, or, the on-set people, cameramen, and all that.
Okay. Well, what other anecdotes can you give us about your work on the film?
I just had all those little short scenes before the decision to have Jonah Hill fill in for them. So I got to travel around, we traveled out in California to go to the farm to shoot that scene and still do the story with the bull and all that. But really it's just, getting to work with John C. Reilly, especially because of, some of the things he's in. You wouldn't really know what to expect, but he's such a, kid-friendly dude, and, he was great to work with, had great talent. There was one time when we were at the farm, and it was a hot day, and we were taking a break on set, and, this woman comes running down in a dress, and it's actually John C. Reilly in a dress with a bunch of makeup on, and he's, running around, and, I'm so pretty, and goofing around like that. It was just, it was great. You never knew what to expect with him, but it was always hilarious. He always had an upbeat, great attitude, and, got to meet his family, too, and they're all great kids. So that was really the highlight for me, was working with John C. Reilly. I would say that, I really enjoyed that. He's a great actor.
You also are listed having a bit part in Transformers. You want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah, it was just a little part in the first one when the Transformers are fighting towards the end off of a freeway bridge, and a car skids to a halt, and a little kid says, "Cool, Mom." That was my little line. So that was a day of working to do that scene, but it was pretty cool. They had to shut down a ramp on a freeway in California. So being able to, stand on a ramp that's usually full of traffic or cars going 60 that's, stopped up was neat. And, all the work they did there and the cables beside the car. So, but yeah, that was that was fun.
Yeah, did you like working with Michael Bay?
I did. He was he's a great director. I really enjoyed it. He made sure to get what he wanted out of it. We did many takes, but it was great working with him. He we had to try and get it done soon because they were about to film somewhere else in the city with Shia LaBeouf, I believe. So I didn't get to meet Shia LaBeouf or Megan Fox, but yeah.
You didn't get to meet Megan Fox. I'm just going to ask that, too.
Yeah, that's usually what, once people find out I've been in Transformers, that's either their first or second question, followed by Shia LaBeouf. So, but, Michael Fox, he was a great director, and he was, considering what he deals with and, how big he is, for him to be able to, go eye to eye and level with a kid for such a little scene is, really great for a director of his ability.
Yeah. Well, I gotta know, has your wife seen Walk Hard, and if so, what'd she think of it?
She saw it, and that was the first time she ever heard me cuss. So she was, once I can't even remember whatever word I let out first in it, but once she heard that, she was like, "Oh!" She was so shocked. So it was kind of funny, and she thinks it's funny, and she makes sure to tell people when we meet that I was an actor, and blow the secret, because I usually try not to tell too many people that I'm around frequently, just because I don't want them to think I have a big head or try to put anything over them. So, but it usually comes out because someone decides to go on Google or however it works out. So it's not a big deal. I just I don't want to seem like I'm trying to portray myself over people in any way.
Well, you're the brother of the great Dewey Cox.
Exactly. If I let people know that, it's all over.
There you go. Oh, yes. No, this was a fantastic movie. Did you see the extended version?
Yeah. They gave me the extended version. So I believe I still have that. I think I might have saved that wrapped up and bought another version. But yeah, I did get to see the extended.
Yeah, there was actually at least one scene of yours that was cut. So when just before he goes in to meet quote unquote Elvis and Buddy Holly, and played by actors that don't look like them.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, but no, they had you your ghost out there, and I gotta say one thing they did brilliantly with the extended cut is they had Cheryl Tiegs in as his third wife, and they were able to cut that out so seamlessly from the theatrical version, because in the theatrical version he's married twice, to Jenna Fisher and previously to Kristen Wiig. And you got Cheryl Tiegs. And not to sound vulgar, but I thought the joke where they called her Cheryl Cox Tiegs was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I'm actually, that took a lot of skill to just vanquish that whole subplot, and I was like, wow.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of editing, a lot on the editor's parts for that movie.
Well, they did a great job. No, John C. Reilly was nominated for a Golden Globe for this movie, and he deserved it. I'd like to see this movie capture more of an audience. I'm happy to come on here today and celebrate this movie with you. And I'm happy to talk to the guy who played Nate.
Well, I'm glad you had me on. It was definitely fun to remember it and go through. And my mom was a big part of it too, driving me there to where we had to go. She worked nights, and we'd be there all day, and she'd go to work after we got home. But it was just great to be able to be a part of it.
You still got that haircut?
Oh, no. I think that was one of the first things that changed once I quit acting, is I shortened my hair quite a bit.
No.
Oh yeah, they did give me that haircut because my hair was longer. But I definitely have a different haircut now.
Yeah, I loved how they made Jonah Hill's hair match it. Were you disappointed that they did the Jonah Hill thing?
You know, I didn't know they were going to do it. When I went to the premiere to see the movie, is actually when I found out about it. But you know, at first I was, you know, a little confused and upset. You know, I was 11 or 12 at the time, and that it turned to that just because I wasn't expecting it. But you know, it didn't really matter to me in the end, and you know, I didn't throw a fit about it or, you know, pout for weeks about it. I just, you know, accepted what happened, and, you know, that's okay. At the end of the day, I got paid for, you know, doing all those scenes. So, you know, I was proud of the work I did, and if they thought it was necessary to change it, then they had their reasons, I'm sure.
You got to admit, when you turn into Jonah Hill, that is kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, once you're able to see it, and once I was able to see it and kind of expect it more, then yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering, do you have a web page or any charities you're involved in?
I mean, I have my Facebook, but I don't really go on too much social media. You know, I'm busy hanging with a family or, you know, with the church. The church does a lot of charity work.
Mm-hmm.
Calvary Chapel of the Finger Lakes, if anyone's interested in that. But, you know, other than that, I'm involved with that, or a mobile soup kitchen in Rochester, New York, called the Father's Heart.
Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I can think of. You know, the church does a lot as far as reaching out to people in need. So I kind of help them a lot with that, going to actually see the people and help them out when I can.
Just curious, what's your favorite part of the Bible? Like, do you have a favorite verse or favorite section?
Oh man.
I'll tell you what mine is. I love that verse, and I don't even know where it is. In thy house there are many mansions. Because a mansion looks great, but the fact that it's in thy house, that means it's bigger than the mansion. Of course, you get these images and revelations of the kingdom of heaven, and those are great to think about. Do you have a favorite verse or section in the Bible that inspires you?
I'd say it goes back and forth. I have one in Isaiah chapter 43. I believe it's verses, might not be one. It's 1 through 3, one of those. But it says, fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. And then, you know, it goes on to say, you know, through many waters I will be with you, and through the fire I will be with you. And, you know, I just take a lot of comfort in that, knowing that, you know, through it all, because we go through a lot in life.
Yep.
But just knowing that I can trust in God, that He's there for me, even when there's the storm going on or the fires, that, you know, I have that help, that solid rock that I can stand on, that I can lean on. And so I just take a lot of hope in that verse.
Just think of all the stuff that Dewey Cox went through in his life.
Yeah.
Quite an exaggeration. Do you mind if I add you on Facebook, or do you do that?
Oh, yeah. You could send me a request.
Okay.
I like I said, I don't go on much, so you know, if it goes a few days and I haven't responded to it, don't be offended. But,
I won't be offended.
No, I'll get to it. As you know, because you messaged me over a year ago about this. So and I finally got the messenger thing. That was the only way I was able to view it, and you know, saw the message you sent, and you know, I was glad I was able to. connect with you.
You know what? That's a strange thing with Facebook. Sometimes the messages get filtered, and I'm like, if somebody doesn't want to respond to somebody, just don't respond. But some people don't get to see these messages unless they look closely like that, and I think that's a flaw in Facebook there. But I gotta say, last year when I reached out to you, it was the 10-year anniversary of Walk Hard, but I remember when you responded, you thought you'd missed the boat, but I was like, I'm just thrilled and honored to have you on here, whether it's a 10-year anniversary or 11-year anniversary. You had this funny scene in the movie, and even though your scenes were your part was small, it was memorable, and it's like anybody that's seen that movie, they remember the whole being halved and the image of the pants standing up by themselves, and they just kind of timber over.
Yeah.
So, I'm honored to have you on here, and I appreciate you coming on and talking about Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, a film that I think is underrated, and I would love to see more people discover it. I think there's a lot of genius that went on in the writing of this movie, and of course the performances were spot on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's happening in the future with you?
I'm not really sure. I'm kind of just
working in your
away where I'm at.
Okay.
We recently bought a house a couple months ago, or like 2 or 3 months ago, which is when I started contacting you. And then my wife is a dog groomer, so we were converting our garage into a dog grooming salon, which was quite a process, with putting a wall where the garage door was, and making sure all that was done right so nothing falls down, everything's sturdy and looks professional. So we just got a house. We have a 7-month-old boy, and there's a 7-year-old girl that came from a previous relationship my wife had before she met the Lord. But I love her as my own, and we all love each other as a family, and we love the Lord. So right now everything's just great. We love where we are. Serving in the church. I'm working at Pioneer, and just try and do the best I can.
Dog grooming, huh? Well, Dewey Cox had a chimpanzee, a camel, a giraffe.
The chimpanzee, because I actually shot a scene.
Oh, did you?
In the bedroom. That was the scene where they asked my preference, and they made sure that there was no nudity or anything going on when I would be there. But the chimpanzee was there, and when I sat down where I was going to be, the chimpanzee actually started coming towards me because he wanted to play or something. But the trainer got a hold of him because she didn't want anything bad to happen. But offset, I got to play around with that chimpanzee, and he does handshakes and fist bumps and all that. So as a 11-year-old kid, I was eating that up. I loved it.
They say that chimpanzee is the most intelligent animal on the planet. Yep. I read that somewhere online. Chimpanzees were number 1. Number 2 was dolphins. 3 was orangutans. 4 was elephants. And 5 was ravens. Not bad. And of course, in the Bible, I think it was the raven that was used in the Book of Moses, or not Book of Moses, that section with Moses.
Oh, they were used for to feed Elijah.
Oh yes, absolutely. But so you didn't get to see the camel and the giraffe?
No, not the camel and giraffe. I got to see the chimpanzee. The chimpanzee, though, so that was cool.
Yeah, they're a smart animal.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Chip? I thank you so much for coming on here today and taking time to talk to me and celebrate Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. I was just wondering if I could get you to do a plug for my show.
Hi, this has been Chip Hormess, and you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise. on in New Brunswick, Canada, and you guys are just going to have to be double great for the both of us.